I guess my concern is that this is being pushed through too fast. Not enough consideration is given. Okay? Oh, not enough consideration is, I feel like this AI company is trying to push this through as fast as they can. I have read that these AI companies like to have people sign non-disclosure agreements to keep it on wraps, and they don't want the input from the community. And I know the comment was made something about being bullied, and I feel like isn't that what's going on here? We're being bullied to agree to this AI center. There's so many negatives concerning power issues, privacy, quality of life, and I don't know if this company has ever considered building their own power grid, which would alleviate a lot of the strain on our power. There are companies that are starting to do that now. That would be a consideration if they're really gung-ho on getting this going. But I think people are too anxious to jump on the AI bandwagon without really thinking this through and really thinking how this is going to impact people and their quality of life. They had a same incident in a little town. See if I can find it here. It was in a town called Peculiar, Missouri. You can look that up. It was by a company called Dio Adventures. And they went through the same thing as we're going through right now. They tried to influence the mayor and the town council to influence the residents to change their mind. What happened was the whole town ended up bickering, and it went on for quite a while. And I guess when they decided to do a vote, they decided to vote in favor of not having it. Some of the residents that lived there went to other facilities like Iowa, and I can't remember what the other one was, and they said they were just terrified with what they saw. So I think if you're going to do this, buyer beware, careful what you wish for.
I'm Sarah Marie Flood. I'm a Harwood resident. And I'm just curious, has any kind of use study been conducted to determine what the actual impact will be to not only water and electricity, like the mentioned, but also the roads, the sewer, the garbage, all of it. The Senate station that we could hardly get gas at now. Yeah.
I could talk a little bit about that. I was at the town hall meeting. A lot of that was mentioned there.
Okay.
That they will be taking care of any roads that go to their facility that get wrecked by trucks and stuff. They said they would take care of that. They have to pay for any of the infrastructure for the electricity and anything that comes in. And Cass County was here, Cass County Electric, and
I was at the meeting.
they went over how they can provide all the services to the.
Right, I was just wondering if any official use analysis has been done, or if it's all just, we'll take care of it as it comes up.
Thank you for speaking on that. A lot of those issues will actually be addressed at the city council meeting in an hour or so I would encourage that you stick around for that if you can. Any other residents of Harwood?
My name is Darlene Meyer. I'm a resident of Harwood, and I think like most Harwood residents, when I heard this on the nightly news, I thought, oh my God, what are we getting into? And I thought it's swept under the rug, nobody heard about it. I was at a city council meeting and it wasn't mentioned. And so I kind of felt a lot in that direction. I have done a lot of reading. I have talked to the council members, I've talked to the mayor a little bit, and I have totally kind of changed my perspective on the whole thing. I understand that the mayor and, I don't know if the councilman went to Ellendale, they talked with the Ellendale mayor, and he is here tonight, thank goodness, and I think we'll probably hear from him. But as I learned more about this, and AI scares me, but there's nothing we're going to do about it. It is the fact of the future. And the land that is being annexed or looked at being used is Harwood Territorial, which we have control of right now. Fargo's at our doorstep, and if we don't take advantage of it, if Fargo gets it, we have the plant, we have the noise, we have everything except any of the benefits that the plant will give us. So I think we really have to have an open mind because AI is not going away. These plants are being built all over the United States. And no matter what, there's going to be pros and there's going to be cons. And I think you need to look at both of them and which side. I think right now, probably in my opinion, the pros outdo the cons. And I think the worst thing that could happen to us is that land and that plant goes to the city of Fargo, and we end up with nothing except the whatever happens with the plant. I went out on the Ellendale site. I read a lot of comments from the residents, tried to get more information, and a lot of them had complaints, but they complained about AI. I didn't see them reading about complaints about the plant. They were talking about disrupting a small community, but it's going to help them grow.
It's not even open yet.
The tax benefit and that type of thing. I have 100% faith in Cass County Electric. I think they are a fantastic co-op. I have 100% faith in them that they know what they're doing, if they can support this. I believe in what they're saying. Also, the water situation. I hear these plants take a tremendous amount of water, but I'm also hearing now they have a way to recycle that water. They're going to use real water. And that they can recycle it and would use the same amount of water as a normal household
They say they're
would.
going to recycle it, they're not.
So there are a lot of things that we really, I think we just can't slam the door on AI and say, no, it's not for us, we can't do it. Fargo doesn't have any growth capacity for housing, so the employees are going to have to probably live in Fargo.
Okay, we're coming up on this.
Am I done? One quick comment, I'm sorry. I didn't think I talked this long. But I think this is the biggest decision Sony makes. I think it's the biggest decision the council members of Harwood is going to make probably in the history of Harwood. So I give you credit. Thank you.
Hang on one second.
That was my comment.
You guys use the mics? Can't hear now. Right now, we're just getting a process thing, so I apologize, everybody.
Alright, my name is Darrell Grover, and I'm a resident of Harwood, and I've lived here most of my life. This is about a zoning and planning question. I have noticed that Harwood seems kind of hodgepodge together on our ideas of growth. We have a construction company right in the middle of residential, and it kind of seems like, well, this seems to work as it goes. My house situates itself to see this new development happening if it goes to the site over here. And it's very rare that you have something that affects you environmentally and also like personally. I have my own very deep thoughts on AI itself, but I'm kind of opposed to it in everything I am. But when it comes to planning and zoning, do we have an idea of like how much agricultural food in the next 25 years this one field could produce, or biodiesel, in order to change it to industrial? And if we have a plan, I would like to know what kind of, I guess, viable strategic plan that Harwood has to move forward, because it's this light industrial and it's on the tail end of all of these other industrial and like the kind of industrial zone coming this way, then the next field isn't going to be residential once the record's done. It's going to be another industrial. So how far are we letting this go? And what are our strategic plans as Harwood to growth? And what's thought on that I haven't heard anything on it, in my ignorance of not going through 5 years of meeting minutes. But if we don't have a strong idea about where we place this, because I know from last meeting that yes, it has been bought, the land, we just need to rezone it, and it's between these two sites. The idea of which site or how it's moving forward, how is Harwood planning on growing, and where is the community's input on that? And what kind of city does Harwood want to be? And that is my concern, because honestly, my selfish part is also, that's in front of my house. Like literally 20 feet away. If this one this field gets built, then this one's going to be like a big, I don't know, next 3M Amazon meeting. And I just want to know, because I have to think generational, because I'm second generation at my space. So my brain automatically goes to how far, in what year are we planning these things? And we need an idea that's not just cobbled together these zones. And I'd like to see what that is, and if you could speak to that, because if we change one here, it's going to affect the next domino of the structures going up.
Mark Kirkwood, 38-year Harwood resident, and I live right over in the triangle here. Probably my property's a mile from the corner of this proposed facility. I came in like others, not knowing anything. A week and a half ago, I came to the meeting last week, got my concerns answered. I have no problem with this. I've done a lot of research since, trying to figure out and keeping the whole AI thing out of it, which I also don't understand. But one thing I do understand is I've been assured that we're not going to have a shortage of power. Harwood Water isn't even involved. This closed loop system is not a water pig. They're going to truck in all the water, it'll be there forever. The noise issue doesn't concern me. The 40 dB at a half mile is nothing. Then, 99% of us aren't going to be within a half mile of that. There's more noise that comes off this interstate behind us. Way more than is going to come off this facility. So I'd urge the committee to go ahead, annex the land, and take care of whatever zoning you have to do so that Harwood can reap these benefits versus our neighbors. So, thank you.
11 minutes to go. Anyone else like to come up? One second.
Nate Schleicher, Harwood resident for 1 year. Brand new here, loving it. Moved here because of the quiet, excited about the idea and prospect of what is to come with the new facility. Just curious about the noise, and I did not get a chance to attend the last meeting. Also, father of 3 young children who are back with grandma right now. So, question is, what's the pitch? Like, what is the pitch of the sound? Yeah, I live directly across the train tracks, 2 houses down, half block from town hall. Train causes noise, the highway causes noise. What is the pitch of the sound that comes? Is it intermittent? Is it constant? I'm just trying to understand that a little bit.
So Nick can give you the exact, Nick will give you the exact decibel and pitch level, but just so you have an idea of what is making sound on the site, it's larger size heat pumps. So the heat pump you have outside your house to make sure HVAC, the fan inside of that heat pump, that's the primary source of noise on the site, just at a larger scale. But it's going to be the same noise that you would hear from the heat pump on the side of your house.
Yeah, so I'll stand up here. So basically these are big precast concrete buildings, and so they're big, thick, I don't know if they're a foot thick or something like that. 8 inches thick concrete walls, so none of the noise from the machines themselves can get out of the building. The only things that make noise are what we described, they're like heat pumps. The nice thing about those is that when it's colder outside, you don't have to run the fans and things so much with it because the cold that's outside is just enough, right? So as the volume in the winter is less, right? There's not as much animals, not as much, things going on around outside. Our facility also becomes quieter because there's less heat and it's easier to get rid of the heat, right? Yeah.
Did you have anything else? That was one.
Frequency.
We'll see if we can get that information before the next one. Anyone else from Harwood as we try to keep this moving? AJ.
My name is Alicia Brexit, 20 years at least in Harwood, and this is not my comfort zone, so bear with me. I'm just speaking to you guys because I've lived here a long time, and things don't happen overnight here. You know that. I just think of the development across the church has taken a very long time to go through. Jamie, your development, that's taken a long time. It feels too fast. It feels like really quick and people aren't informed. And I just would like you guys to just pause maybe and think about it. Maybe this is going to be a good thing for us. I don't know. But I think we just need to take a breath and chill out for a little bit because I think it's being pushed way too fast.
Any other residents who probably have time for
My name is Eric Sinner. I live in Harwood. 10 years. Which one's Mary Hankey? Here? Okay. So my question is what's going to happen to the traffic corridor through here? Is Harwood going to annex the 5 properties on the north side of 26, make it a 4-lane? What's going to happen at shift change when we got a slow zone, a quiet zone railroad coming through? Why can't this be built? There's no talk about why it can't be built west of town. What are the reasons why it can't be west of town, 3 miles? I don't think I even have to look. Raise your hands who's in favor. Raise your hand who's not in favor. Take serious consideration.
have more questions and statements as it concerns the city council meeting potentially coming up. Do I understand that that's also going to have a public hearing session?
Yes.
All right, thank you. With regards to planning and zoning, and the lack of other documentation given to the public about what this facility has coming into it, I'm just wondering what are you basing your rezoning, decisions on, since you haven't been provided any valid documentation about what this facility is bringing to our area? In a meeting on August 25th, it was discussed that this facility uses millions of gallons of water, but not like on a continual basis, but it will house millions of gallons of water for it to be cooled with a glycol water solution. Now, I'm no architect or anything like that either, but the facility and footprint of this building doesn't seem like it's capable of storing that type of quantity of water within it. What I did notice in the renders of this facility is there are these three large, massive, concrete reinforced retaining ponds, and I'm wondering if that solution of water glycol mix is actually going to be housed externally, or is there any risk of contamination to that water supply, because the location at which this is being built is actually well within the 1,500 or 2,500 feet to that natural little creek that runs just east of down here, and that flows directly into the Red River's water supply. So I'm just wondering if any consideration you think of that. Also, in the event of catastrophe for a facility this size, they operate off a large contingent of lithium-ion batteries to make sure that these facilities stay operational if there's any kind of power outage or anything like that. In the event of an emergency, if those should catch on fire or whatever, you basically have to let that go. Is the area emergency services capable of handling the impact from such a severe threat to the community? I mean, we're talking about people's lives and well-being. That's all stuff that needs to be taken into consideration when building the size facility of this magnitude. Further, there's a contingent of generators that are going to be going up in this facility. I talked with the North Dakota Environmental Protection Agency Air Quality Division. They're currently working on the permitting in Allendale of a generator bank of some 60 or so generators. Now, they don't know how to do that in North Dakota yet because they've never had to deal with anything of that size or magnitude. So they're currently working through that process. However, this individual that I did speak with said, with a contingent of what you're talking about building in Harwood, you're looking at something the size of 100 3,000 kilowatt diesel generators. Now, his words, not mine. He told me when those generators kick on in the event of a power failure, and I'm talking a mass of them all at the same time, that is something that the Harwood residents are not only going to hear, they're going to smell it, and they're going to feel it in their homes only a mile and a half away. And that's his words, not mine. Thank you.
So my name is Nick Shotsky, and I grew up in North Dakota, grew up in Harwood. I lived here for 18 years. Sorry, I'm not the best talker, but I love Harwood. And I don't think Harwood would regret not building this. I think the only regret Harwood should have is from building this. I grew up playing outside all the time. I grew up with asthma. Diesel generators, they create particulate matter. And I don't know how I'd be doing health-wise. I was playing outside all that time. Sorry, I didn't think I was gonna choke up like this. But just think about the community. Be the voices for the people that live here, and for their kids, and for their kids' kids. So just consider all that, I guess. Thank you.
Okay, so, with what we're doing here right now is, just a recommendation to city council. Like, a lot of your questions that were asked tonight will actually probably be answered at the city council meeting that'll be coming up after this. The Applied Digital people will be at that meeting also. I can answer a lot more of those questions. I know they have a presentation, I believe, to go over at the council meeting. This is just for the land use part. None of the building and stuff like that is being approved at this time on this group. Just to clarify a few of those things for you. Yeah, he'll show you on the map up here where.
So if I may, I'll answer that question real quick. Just in case for those of you who don't know, my name is Jamie Nedham, I'm on the city council. Your question is whether it's just on the reuse of the property that is down by Fargo's baseball diamond complex. It is. It is just on that area. Harwood has no jurisdiction when we go out west. Okay, that answers your question.
Annex it.
So, with all of that being said, does anybody on planning and zoning committee want to make a recommendation?
So I just want to explain, so everybody understands. So they can make a recommendation, then when it gets to city council, they will hear what their recommendation was. If city council approves the first reading of rezoning this to industrial, it's the first reading. They could approve a building permit contingent on the zoning getting a second reading. That doesn't mean that it's going to go that way. We don't know yet. So tonight is not a gavel drop that this is a yes or a no. This is a decision recommendation, and then it goes to city council. So please don't think that tonight is just the final thing. It's not. Sorry. Just wanted to make sure you understand that that's the discussion.
Does anybody up here have something you guys want to say about it, or?
For those who didn't hear, the question was, what is the current zoning? And it is agricultural.
If one recommend two change.
So after hearing how everybody feels, what is your recommendation? Okay, let's hear it.
I also am in favor of the zone to light industrial for this particular property.
So you don't care how everybody feels?
You had your chance to come up here and talk. Now it's time to be quiet and let the rest of the group make this change. As somebody that also lives over in the Triangle area that the member spoke about, it will be affecting my house and everything else too, but I also feel that it's a good change for Harwood. So I'm voting in favor of it.
I honestly think that if I'm voting in favor of it. I honestly think that if we don't, Fargo is and we are gonna be stuck with the same problem and not get a time out of it.
With that being said, the recommendation has been made to City Council. The recommendation is being made to City Council to approve this project and to change the zoning, or to change the zoning. I don't have an NDA. I've never.
The mayor
signed
does.
one. So, with that being said, we'll close this meeting. Meeting will be adjourned, and we will go back to City Hall to start the City Council meeting.
At City Hall in attendance from the city, with the addition of Andrew Ockery, our city engineer. All right, at this point in time, I will open the public meeting regarding the public hearing on rezoning. This will be the time for members of the public to talk about rezoning. Two things before we do that. First, we're up here, we're going to listen. I'd ask everyone to keep the decorum respectful and polite. No one up here is going to respond very good to yelling, screaming, blow horns, waving a sign in their face. That just doesn't work well. And so we'll listen to you. We'll hear what you have to say. But let's keep it respectful to everybody, and in turn, we'll be respectful to you. Second, we are voting on whether to rezone the property. We're not voting during this session on whether or not Applied Digital is going to build their AI data set. That's going to come later. So all this discussion is for is whether or not we are going to rezone the land from agricultural to industrial. That's what this part is for, okay? So if anyone wants to come up here and talk about Applied Digital, they don't like this project, that's not what we're doing right now. That'll come, okay, but that's not what we're doing right now. So at this time, I would welcome any public comments that anyone would have regarding the rezoning, and strictly the rezoning. And yeah, I see a hand back left. I don't know if we have anybody that you want to run a microphone so we can. Okay, that's fair. All right, so we do have the ability to limit comments to 3 minutes. I don't know if we really want to do that, but we are going to need to know for our record who your name is and where you reside. Okay, there's yeah, gentleman right here in front. Yeah, we're ready.
All right, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, good evening. I wish I could be introducing ourselves under better circumstances. It's not in my character to make waves. That said, the way that the situation with Applied Digital has unfolded stirred a sense of duty in me that I could not ignore. Tonight I stand here as a concerned citizen, exercising my right to speak before you openly. I would like to call and present evidence to this body of potential negligence and potential violations to the North Dakota State Century Code with regards to public businesses done by the City of Harwood and Applied Digital. According to public record, Mayor Henke entered into a non-disclosure agreement on July 9th of this year, nearly 2 months ago.
And I'm going to cut you out. This is only about rezoning. You're going to get a chance to
State law.
You didn't get a chance to speak on the right topic.
Part of what
Hold on. Does anyone understand what rezoning means? Okay.
Do you understand that by allowing rezoning to take place, you like basically start the ball rolling down the hill, and once this happens, we're kind of out of our way of preventing this from happening at all?
It is only a first reading, but this is tough. What I want to hear from you, sir, is what do you have on whether or not, where you think Harwood's industrial park should be?
How about not at all? Everybody's talking about Site A, Site B, Site C. I don't think that you've been forthcoming with the audience before you as to what exactly bringing a facility of this size actually means to the public. The safety concerns.
And where do you live?
I live in George Lane, Harwood, North Dakota. Michael Schwartz is my name.
to be allowed to continue.
Is it about the rezoning or is it about the Applied Digital?
It's about the whole transgressions that you and in your business dealings with Applied Digital have done in the months that you were underneath the secrecy, non-disclosure agreement.
Okay, it doesn't sound like that's to do with rezoning.
Who wants to hear what I have to say?
This is about rezoning. This isn't about me. It's not about Applied Digital.
Mark,
This is about rezoning.
rezoning for what? For whose project that's sitting right over
Why
your
would you
Applied
run into
Digital?
that? Let me,
Okay,
like,
if anyone's going to keep interrupting, I have permission to remove this is, I'm guessing the majority of people here that are causing the scene are not from Harwood. I can appreciate you having your day in the sun, okay? But the way it's going to work is we're going to have a forum here.
Let it talk. That's all we want.
The way this is going to work, if there's any more disruptions, I'm going to ask you to leave and the sheriff will help me with that. If you want to keep interrupting me and causing the scene, go ahead. Do you have any more to say? Do you want to disrupt this anymore?
You disrupted it. I think you're using the
Okay.
of rezoning to hide from answering.
Well, you can take it and assume whatever you want, because this is not the time or the place for that.
This is the exact time. Yes, this is court. It's like a public meeting.
this is our opportunity to bring and present to you like some of our concerns that might actually impact your decision on how you vote for this. But it doesn't feel like we even have that opportunity because your minds have already been made up. Is that true or false?
This is not the time or the place. We're going to have that discussion. The agenda on the calendar.
You're telling people you don't care about.
Okay, Sheriff, I'm not going to keep putting up with this. Correct, yes? You've been warned 3 or 4 times. This is it, and I'm going to ask you to be removed, which I can do. Okay, so if you want to keep interrupting and not have your day in the sun, when we get to that section of the agenda tonight, you can, and you can watch from the parking lot. I'm not going to do it all night long. Okay, I'm going to continue. Is there any comments regarding the rezoning and strictly the rezoning? Yes, will you use your microphone? Yeah, will you use your microphone? Yeah, come on up. We'll need your name, where you live, for the record. Yeah, we can start a line, that's fine too.
Duncan McAllister, West Fargo.
Okay.
So Wes Cummins, the CEO of Applied Digital, has gone on record to say they plan on expanding this and other data centers they want to build in the future.
Okay, stop. This is rezoning. You're going to get a chance to talk about that. I promise you, I promise those people. If you have something regarding the rezoning, right, from agricultural to residential, from agricultural to industrial, I'll hear it. If this is about Applied Digital and Wes and anybody else, I don't want to hear it right now.
Okay, I'll ask one thing. Is the NDA you signed related to this zoning? Or is it unrelated to the zoning meeting today?
It's unrelated to the zoning meeting today.
Okay, thank you.
It's relevant down the road, but it's not relevant right now.
I'll keep that in mind. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Darrell Grover. I'm from Harwood. I had mentioned this previously to the committee members before this meeting, but I am curious about how this rezoning from agricultural to industrial will affect the continued growth plans for Harwood. And I just hear you say Harwood's industrial zone, and I feel some other people would like to know if you've create models of where the zone potentials of where you want things to go, and what the impact of being agricultural and the potential amount of food that could produce for others, or if it's just monetary concerns for rezoning.
Sure.
And there was one more thing.
You're good. I appreciate the question, and I appreciate your tone.
Thank you.
Do you think you have a question? Can you give it back to Mike for a second? I don't want to make sure I'm sorry. Okay, so there are 2 questions there. I want to make sure that I answer them and get council's opinion on it. So, potential loss of food is one issue. Second issue is if we thought about it or had kind of a model of Harwood's growth plan, right, which is fair. And did I miss anything else?
I think it's just if it's a concern to the committee of like agricultural food versus income of like proposed taxes and rezoning. I'm currently in the light industrial area, but been grandfathered in, and if that is considered light industrial, is the next field over going to be future plans for light industrial, because that would just continue this whole swath on 81 of industrial park, which then I'm kind of included within in my backyard, literally. So that's my concern, is the for this committee, for this meeting, is kind of the domino effect of rezoning, because if this becomes light industrial, the probability of the next field being residential is pretty low. And if so, how much influence do we have as direct neighbors in the say of how you guys decide your decisions?
Sure. Very fair question. So I will maybe add on. I'm not on planning and zoning. Councilman Adams is the one that handles planning and zoning. Oh, Brock, I'm sorry. Yes, if James Portfolio, Brock, you run planning and zoning right now? Okay. So I can add my 2 cents here, but if you guys wouldn't mind kind of handling some of those questions, please, thank you.
So as far as a long-term strategic plan, currently there is not a formal one. We have been approached by, Andrew, if you get, who's the organization within this area that does the multi-city MetroCog, a number of years ago about it. At the time, we did not choose to spend the money to participate in that. So if that answers that question, as far as do we have a designed formal plan, we do not. Now, some of my thoughts, if I may, on this. So this land is privately owned, and it is privately being sold by the owners to a new owner. The new owner is the one looking to change the use of it, which is completely lawful as far as I know. That's something they can ask for us to do. As far as what the best use of that property is, right now it conjoins to Fargo's stabilization ponds, lagoons, and a baseball complex, or softball complex, excuse me. So to me, again, this is just my opinion, it is a natural evolution of an industrial park to come that direction. I don't see a lot of homeowners that want to build next to lagoons, underneath a flight path, and next to a baseball complex, softball complex that's already pre-existing if possible. As far as the next chunks of land, because I know where you live, that is again a private owner who currently does farm and own it. That is his choice in the future, or his descendants, what he will do with it, my opinion.
Brock, did you have anything to add to what Councilman Adams said? Okay, thank you.
Chris, Dilworth, Minnesota.
Chris, what's your last name?
Johnson.
Okay, thank you.
So he mentioned the lagoon, and this was previously agricultural. Transitioning to industrial, are we worried about any water leakage, anything into the watershed? I know a lot of farmers well digging. If the watershed gets poisoned, that's a lot of bad stuff going down.
I mean, I can handle that in our communication with Applied Digital, and I guess we're looking at rezoning it to something else in the watershed. I guess as I see things right now, I have no concerns about that. Right now, there's not that it's good or bad. The farmers use a lot of chemicals, whether we want to believe it or not. There's a lot of chemicals in the land and in the water, regardless. And so I don't have any concerns about zoning it to industrial that would hurt the water supply, the water tank. Right. So same thing, we have another industrial park that someone wants to use it for some industrial purpose, and they come in. I guess we take each individual Yeah, and this is, Derby Center Public Works Superintendent.
And just like I do with our water usage for the city of Harwood and stuff, they still gotta go through the whole process of North Dakota DEQ and everything else. So they can't just come in here and use whatever they want, whenever they want. I mean, they still have to apply for the permits and everything through the state of North Dakota, through all the rules and regulations through the state as well. So it's not like it's just, okay, here, do whatever you want. So they'll have to have a plan and everything approved that way as well. And they'll have to go to the watershed, all that, so.
Hi, my name is Bob Hennenkamp from Harwood, North Dakota. I don't know, ever since I've heard about this deal, I've kind of looked around the city, and if I go north of the city, I see the potential for residential. If you go out across over there, that's residential. Jamie, you're on the going north. So that whole area there could be residential. I cannot see anything residential going that direction from Harwood. I can see it coming our way from Fargo. But as far as I'm concerned, if we're going to be looking at a spot to change from agricultural to industrial, to me that looks like the ideal spot for it. That's all I got.
Yeah, Bob, can I call you Bob?
Yeah.
Okay, I appreciate your comments. Another thing too, this is, I'm speaking for myself, is every resident of Fargo that I've spoken to does not want to become part of Fargo. And everyone's worried about Fargo's growth coming to the north. And this is also, to me, by rezoning it to industrial, I'm hoping that's going to stop Fargo from coming to our backyard. And that's another thought. We might not stop that, but that's another thought that at least I have.
Well, my feelings on it are if we don't change it to industrial right now, I have no doubt in my mind that Fargo is just gonna try and access that land and they'll change it to industrial.
Well, they're already trying.
Yeah, I know they are. I'm just putting my 2 cents.
Okay, thank you for your comments, appreciate it. Okay, I'm not seeing anyone else in line or any other hands up. At this time, I will close the public meeting regarding rezoning. And Sarah, just for clarification, it probably makes sense to have a meeting recommendations now, or should I continue on to the agenda? Oh, I'm sorry. We have one more. No, go ahead, sir.
With regards to rezoning in this meeting in particular, again, I didn't think I'd be able to speak here tonight, but however, the manner in which this public meeting was brought to the attention to the community of Harwood was done in a matter of sloppiness and haste. Just alone on the city of Harwood's website last week, the meeting times and dates were altered several times last week. Are you aware of that? Posting of the council meeting minutes carried out on July 7th and July 21st were not published in the Inform until August 11th, which I understand is also, a violation of law. This failure to publish minutes in a timely manner is also apparent for the meeting conducted on August 9th. It was also through a public records request that I learned that on August 9th, the meeting entered into an executive session, which I can only assume was to obfuscate the city's dealings with Applied Digital from the public. This failure to post the council's minutes and matters of minutes in a timely manner could potentially violate the law and how those postings should be made. Notice for this meeting also did not meet statutory requirements. The law states that a public hearing notice must be run for 2 consecutive weeks for no less than 15 days prior to the meeting. The first posting was in the Inform was on the 13th. The second was on the 20th. The 20th is only 13 days ago. That is a violation of North Dakota Century Code law. So this meeting in itself is invalid.
All right, so all I'll say is our city attorney is here as well as our auditor. We are in full compliance, so I disagree with those comments, even though we listened. All right, any other public comments? Regarding the rezoning.
My name is Ella Fletcher. I'm from Harwood. Sorry. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the rusty patched bumblebee, but it is currently listed as endangered according to the Endangered Species Act. And their native habitat is native prairie, and they do have habitat in agricultural land, and they are found in like the upper Midwest and further out east. So, since they're an endangered species, according to the Endangered Species Act, will changing the zone from agricultural to industrial impact their habitat? And if so, I do believe that is against federal law. So that's just my question about like their native habitat is agricultural land, and this is listed as agricultural land. If it's no longer, then that will like lead to habitat reduction. So that's what comment.
Thank you for the question. And was it Ella?
Yes.
Okay, thank you for the question. I will tell you that before you mentioned the rusty patch bumblebee, I was unfamiliar with it, so I do not know how to answer your question about how this will impact the rusty patch bumblebee, but I appreciate your question. All right, any other questions? You have a comment?
Hi, so my name is Nick Shotsky from Harwood, North Dakota.
Hey, Nick.
Going back to Ella's question, do you think this might be rushed then, if you're unaware of all of this going on in this agricultural land here?
Yeah, no, not at all.
All right.
Okay, so you're saying you lack information on whether or not this will harm an endangered species, and if that happens, break federal law. You're saying you lack information on that, and yet you're still perfectly sure that this is not rushed whatsoever. That's what you're saying. Is that what you're saying?
I'm not dealing with it. Gentleman with the long blonde hair there. I'd like to hear you.
Long blonde hair here. There's no gentleman with long blonde hair here.
No, I see what I'm looking at. There's
Hey, bro.
the person that just looking at and
Take me out. Let's go.
All of you citizens, you're cowards.
And you're a fucking bigot.
If I could have everyone's attention real quick here. My name is Jesse Johnner. Most of you know me, I love you, obviously. Just real quick about the meeting, okay? We certainly respect everyone's. I'm not on this side or that side. I'm neutral. We're here to seek each piece of the ordinance. There are certain laws that we have to follow in regards to meetings. It's also in the century code. So if the mayor does ask us to remove people when it gives you a warning, several of those things are listed in the century code, and we'll have to ask you to leave. So if you want to stay here and provide comments, which I'm guessing most of you want to do, just do it respectfully. That's always asked. But we can't have people shouting for the crowd.
Is it respectful to misgender people in your community?
What was that?
Is it respectful to misgender people in your community, as Mayor Blake just did?
Could you remove your mask so I can hear you talking?
Is it respectful to misgender people in your community, Mayor Haney? Is that a respectful
Okay,
thing
could
to
you,
do?
I'm going to ask you to leave now if I can't include my visit.
I asked the question.
Okay.
You think that's a respectful thing to do?
Joel, do you want to leave?
I'm heading out.
Thank you. Okay, so respectfully, again, I think that the board is listening to everyone's questions, so if we can just follow that format. I don't want to have to ask anyone to leave. I want people to be able to express their opinions here. I think everyone deserves that right as long as the board is listening to you, okay? So just think we got to respectfully what we do when we follow the rules, so then the board can continue on with you, okay? Thank you.
Expecting respect from one side isn't fair when the other side doesn't have to show the community respect.
Duncan McAllister of West Fargo. Can I say what I said again?
Go ahead.
Okay, so the information has been presented to you that even just rezoning this land could harm an endangered species, which is in violation of federal law. That information was presented to you. You said that you're not sure on it, and you still think that it is completely reasonable to change the zoning of this land, which could hurt an endangered species and therefore violate federal law.
All right, here's what I know. For any bill, whether it's supply digital, whether it's whoever might want to come into this potential industrial zone, they have to follow all EPA guidelines, they have to follow all DEQ guidelines, and they have to abide by federal and state law. They have to. And no one's presented me some kind of big study about about the rusty patch bumblebee. And I'm not making fun of the bumblebee. I'm sure it's a worthy cause. But as long as a company comes here and they're following all federal and all state guidelines, yeah, I'm okay with that.
All right, thank you.
Hi, my name is Melissa Gonzalez. I'm a resident of Moorhead. I just have a couple of questions. One of them, Melissa Gonzalez of Moorhead. This question was asked earlier, but it wasn't really answered, at least not as far as I understood it. So my first question is, why is there a zoning meeting happening before getting input from your community about whether they want it or not? It just seems like, as other people have brought up before, you guys have already made up your minds about it, rather than wanting to get your input from the community first, and you won't let other people talk about other different topics at this meeting. My second question, in relation to the impact on the endangered species, and I asked this at the last Applied Digital presentation too, and didn't get much of an answer, was if the company itself had an environmental impact report done, or if the city was going to have their own environmental impact report done before approving this project, to see the impact that building this would have on the environment. And the endangered species is a valid concern. Finally, whether we agree with it or not, this planet is going through a climate collapse. We need to be going away from fossil fuel usage, not barreling towards more usage. I think this is just incredibly irresponsible, and those are my questions.
Okay, and I'll reiterate what I just said. If someone wants to build here at Harwood, and they're following all state and federal laws, that is something that our policy has been to allow, as long as they're not breaking the state or federal law, and they're complying with both. That's historically been good enough for the city. And as far as how we notice things out, we are 100% in compliance with state law. Not everyone might like how that state law is written or how it is. That would be a conversation for this legislature, not me, but we have our city attorney here, we have our auditor here. We've been in compliance with everything, and we've done this by vote. That's what I have right.
What about the environmental impact review?
Sharon, that's your warning. One more turn, one more talk, and I'm gonna ask you to leave. I'm not doing it. Okay? Get in line and ask the question.
Well, a continuation of that, if you didn't know that this was going to harm a population of bees.
We don't know what it is.
Exactly. That's what. Okay.
Okay, you're assuming it is. Maybe how do you know the rusty patch bumblebee is going to be injured? If
you don't know, you should be doing a study, and I think all of you should be weighing in on this, because there's plenty of impact that you might not be studying because you're rushing into this so much. And you could easily hold a separate meeting and push this forward, because I've seen Fargo do it many times without this much of a pushback. And it's not only going to impact bumblebees, it's going to impact all of us, it's going to impact the air quality, and I think you should be doing studies. Are any of you going to weigh in on that, about pushing this meeting forward and thinking on it more and listening to your constituents that clearly are unhappy with this?
Well, I've heard from a couple people from Harwood. Most of the people I've heard from are not from here. There are a few.
It's going to affect us too.
So my constituents are not. You where at?
What?
Where do you live?
Fargo.
Okay, you're not my constituent. This is reality. Okay?
I'm still allowed to speak. I'm up here speaking.
Yeah,
and I'm
right.
asking on behalf of your constituents that do care. What is the answer to that? Would you push a meeting forward to hear them out more and have answer their emails perhaps?
It's so hard to hear you with your mask on.
No, I'm not taking it off. I'm sorry. You can hear me, and I don't know what you want. I'm just asking some questions about pushing a meeting forward, and you're not answering it.
All right.
Olivia Fisher.
All right. Does anyone on council care to tackle a question that I did not tackle or would like to address Olivia? The question kind of asked the group.
Does anyone care about the well-being of your constituents? That's all I'm asking. To push this meeting forward.
Well, I'm not going to have them answer that question. They clearly
That's what I was
they clearly
asking.
care about this city. They ran for council. They do their best job every week. They get pennies for a salary. They're doing this as more of a community service for the betterment of our town. So yes, they do care about the community. If you have a direct question that's not related to that, then we'll hear it.
I mean, I was asking the both of these two, would you push the meeting forward to discuss this more with your constituents? I emailed you, I haven't gotten a response.
Yeah, probably not.
Exactly, you're not answering and talking to your constituents. You're not talking to anybody. You didn't know that? That's all I'm gonna say.
I mean, you say that we haven't talked to the constituents, but we all live in the city, so we are constituents also. So this is gonna affect us just as much as anybody else. I have a family. I wouldn't do anything that I think would affect my family in a negative way.
Taylor McElroy, West Fargo. You just said you didn't have a map for the rusty patched bumblebee or anything. I do have a map pulled up if you want to see it, and it is listed on the Endangered Species Act. They are endangered. You said we don't know. They are endangered, and they are found in agricultural lands. So that's just my concern for rezoning, is that it might hurt them more. I can show you the map too if you want.
And it wasn't whether or not they were endangered. If I misspoke or you misunderstood me, that I'll correct that. There won't provide me any data at any time that rezoning this to industrial is going to harm the western patch bumblebee. That first time that was brought up was okay.
That's fair. Do you want to see the map at all?
I will trust you that they're engaged.
Okay. Well, it's shows that where it is in North Dakota, and it's just this specific park in North Dakota, kind of like Argusville south, and it doesn't go very far over. So that's why I'm concerned. Is there's not a very big population in North Dakota. What?
If you like to approach it,
yeah. I just I'm concerned that the agricultural rezoning might hurt it because if it, yeah, you can take it. Taylor, yeah. McElroy, like the golfer. West Fargo. That's it. But I'm just concerned, so because it's a violation of federal law, so if that hurts the bees at all, and it's clearly your fault for rezoning it into industrial, that's a violation of federal law, and they're gonna not let you build it all. So then what happens to the city of Harwood when they have to pay for that? And they already have something got rezoned into industrial. Do they have to vote for it to get rezoned into agricultural, or is it just useless land?
That would be a question. I'm keeping my understanding, and I would ask for our city attorney if she's any guidance on that. But if we were to receive anything from the federal government that says stop what you're doing, we will comply with that. I mean, we would never violate federal law. We would never violate state law. And if any representative from those agencies came to us and said, "You can't do this. Stop," guess what we're going to do? Stop.
Jeremy Johnson, Harwood. Since you're claiming that the majority of Harwood constituents want this, have a vote for Harwood constituents.
I can address that. We have a vote every 2 years. We rarely get any interest of anyone.
I don't remember voting on this 2 years ago.
every 2 years for either me, for Councilman Nedham, Councilman Fix, Councilman Higgins, Councilman Sunder, and that's where your representatives. We don't have a vote with the city on everything that we do. You vote for us. We're collectively trying to make the best decision for the city. I've been on council. I was on council for 4 years. I've been mayor for 5 to 6. And every day I try to do what's best for this city. And I don't make everybody happy. And I'm okay with that. And I'm okay taking leave today. But until I am not elected or I decide not to run, I will continue to do what I think is best for this city. And that's what I'm doing.
Nate Schleicher, Harwood. Part of the reason why I moved to Harwood a year ago is because the financial implications, smaller town, a beautiful community with a great school. I'm curious if this area is zoned or changed in zoning from agricultural to light industrial. What are the positive economic implications for the average city constituent in Harwood?
Yeah, I think that's a good question. The only real guide we have is what's going on over in Ellendale. I have spoken with the mayor of Ellendale. He's actually present today. Ellendale's, and Mayor Leonard, if I'm misspeaking, please let me know. But they've experienced a decrease of their real levies and a decrease in taxes because of the rezoning to industrial brought in more tax revenue for the city. And so their citizens are paying less taxes in Ellendale than they were before a rezoning, say, to industrial and the potential income that brings. Mayor Flannery, is that correct?
If I could address the council and the people who are present here, I first want to make sure that everyone understands the annexation that took place with Applied Digital becoming a part of the city of Ellendale didn't happen until this past February. So from a financial standpoint, we as a city have not seen any benefits yet from Applied Digital being a part of our city. It's the truth. I'm not going to lie to you. That's the truth. We won't because from a property tax perspective, we can't see any revenue from that until 2026, which would be the 2027 budget year. Now, I will also tell you that there hasn't been a big change in mill rates, okay? But that's also because things are still in the infancy stage of building up of that valuation. So we have not encountered that. I will also state that the legislature in passing 1176 made drastic changes to how we as political subdivisions are going to be able to not only levy taxes, okay, but also on how we have to work things for the benefit of our people. As a mayor, I have already started to strategize for next year how we're going to do that knowing with the large valuation increase we're going to see. I'm attempting to find ways to be able to save people money from taxes in a indirect way, and I use that term because I think that's the fairest way to describe it at this moment. Normally, next year, we have a street project we have to do in our community. It's a street project we put off for about 3 or 4 years, and the reason we put it off for 3 or 4 years is not because we weren't willing to do it, but because we had also, 7 years ago, had to build a new water tower. That was a special assessment on our people. Approximately 4 years ago, finished a sewer project that needed to be redone because we needed to refurbish it for our town. That was also a special assessment we put on the people of our town. And in good conscience, our city council couldn't do another special assessment right the next year for a road project. So we took some funding that we had from Prairie Dog and from some federal monies that we got because of the COVID crisis that took place, and used those monies to do patchwork or whatever else we could so that we could go a few more years down the road, honestly kicking the can down the road, so that we could do that project at a better time that would be helpful to people. In between that time, everything happened with Applied Digital. Nobody knew that was going to happen. There was no crystal ball. If you would have asked me back in 2021 when I became acting mayor because our mayor decided to resign, that there would be a company coming up from Texas that wanted to build a data center outside of Ellendale, I would have said, what are you and who are you talking about? It did happen fast. It is happening fast. I'm not going to argue with that. That's a true reality of what we're seeing. I also know that because of what this is going to be doing for our community, next year when we go to work do our street project, I think we're going to be able to do it in a way that we're not going to have to do special assessments because of the large valuation increase that we're going to see because of what's happening with this. That helps the people of our town because it makes things better for them. The things that our state government has tried to do, the legislature, with regards to property tax credits in a number of different ways. Not just the primary residence credit, that's for everybody, but also what they do for senior citizens and for veterans. This is a way that that can help them without hurting them because special assessments are not eligible for those programs. You can't use those programs to help offset the cost of your special assessments. So there is a lot of things that are happening. Do I have all the answers for what's going on in Ellendale? Absolutely not. Like Blake, I'm still trying to learn and understand everything that's happening. It's a process. We don't have the answers overnight. We never will have the answers overnight. But every day, just like Blake, I try to do my best for my community. That's part of the reason why I'm here. Not because rah-rah cheer for Apply Digital. I'm here because you're a small town, we're a small town. We face a lot of the same challenges together. When I met Blake a few weeks ago, actually probably more like a month and a half ago now, for the first time, we were able to talk a little bit about the troubles and the things that we deal with of a small town. I'm here because I want to be able to share with your council and with any of you that want to listen here in the audience. These are struggles that we face every single day. We are going to make some mistakes, but we're also going to make what I believe a lot of right decisions that ultimately are going to be for the benefit of our communities. That's what we try to do.
It's all theoretical. You've had 4 years to find answers. You don't have any.
All right, Sheriff, I'm not tolerating it anymore. If anyone wants to shout out and yell, you can leave.
Four years, no answers. It's all theoretical. There's no tangible benefits. You haven't seen any. But we have tangible downsides.
Yeah, me again. So you stated you spoke to the mayor of Ellendale about this, and he kind of called you out for being at least misleading to your constituency. And I'd like to ask, have you spoken to any residents of Ellendale? And if so, how many?
So I misunderstood our conversation, but it is going to save the citizens money. I was only asking misleading to correct the record, and I'm glad he came up and did that.
Theoretically.
So as far as the reaching out to citizens, that was another council member that did that. Chris Higgins did that. I don't know if you want to address that, Chris.
Yeah, okay. My name's been a Harwood resident since 2017. When I heard about all this happening, I share a lot of the same frustrations which most of you experience. So I took it upon myself. There's a page on Facebook, Ellendale residents, and I joined that. And I said, this is who I am. I'm open to having conversations about the pros and cons. I want to hear what Applied Digital has done for your community. I got a lot of feedback, as you can expect. There's a lot of people that look like it, just like with anything. As far as road damage, misplaced. I think this
Is that better? There we go. As far as housing, roads, and to address that, I believe Harwood's in a lot better position just because we're located to a bigger city. Now, that doesn't mean that the concerns aren't valid. As far as the housing side of it, again, that's close to a big city, so we're not going to experience a lot of displaced and overpopulation if this were to go through that Ellendale has. So as I was going through all these comments from 12 different Ellendale residents, and I spoke to a couple farmers that also live 12 miles north of Ellendale, and a gentleman I went to college with that grew up around Ellendale. From them, it was mostly positive. Obviously, the influx of people coming through, they had to learn how to deal with that.
But as far as like the negative impacts, besides people that are obviously used to the calmer life, yes, it did interrupt them a little bit. But as far as the negative impacts, there's way more pros than cons. And, you know, that's basically what I found out. And I've had a good conversation with the mayor over the phone and also their president of city council, Justin. The past couple of weeks, my career's taken a back seat to this issue at hand. So I can speak on behalf of all the council saying that all your concerns, we wear on our sleeves. We're digging in with the time we have to figure all this out for you. This isn't just something we're jumping to conclusions on. This isn't just something we're jumping on the bandwagon with. And I hope you all know that. And then just one little caveat on there, no matter what happens with that property, you know, if Harwood doesn't do something with it, Fargo could take that from us, and then we have no say at all what happens there. So I want you to all keep that in mind as well, too. So if you have any more questions and you want to talk to me specifically after the meeting, you're welcome to do that. Thank you.
I had one more question. Give me a second to remember it. So he kind of spoke about how he thought we thought this through very well, and even the other mayor admitted that it is very quick. I asked, would there be any negative downsides to just pushing this off for a day or a week or a month to allow the public to become educated on this? Because this was just sprung on us. The public was informed about this not even 2 weeks ago, and I think the public needs more time to learn about this and accept this or deny it. And so would there be any consequences to pushing it off a week, a month, other than Fargo coming?
Testing, okay. You know, right now we're talking about rezoning, whether we kick it a day, a week, a month. That's where we envision the industrial park going to be. And Harwood, we eventually, you've heard from a resident, we've heard from council members. So as far as that goes, no, I don't think it's going to make a difference. Yes.
Just one thing, and I understand what you're saying about taking some time and making a good decision. Okay? This process isn't a one vote process. This is a 2-vote process. If they decide to move forward tonight, they still have to have another meeting to finalize that decision. That's going to give them more time to, again, be able to re-examine and look at all the facts with all the information that they have. That's one of the things that I just want to make sure that you understood. And
yes,
Mayor Blake, that I know you didn't mention it, but I just wanted to make sure that that was clear, that people do understand. Anytime you do a zoning change, you have to have 2 readings and 2 votes for it to be finalized. It's not a one thing, and you've got to take a period of time between those votes before you can even do that.
That's right.
Just wanted to clarify that.
Yep. No, that's a good point. Our auditor brought that up as well, and I should have mentioned that beforehand. So thank you, Mayor. Yep. That's been enough questions. Jennifer Steves, you had a question or comment?
I just feel like we're getting a little off track. I wrote, I think the biggest issue here is the fact that I heard Fargo already annexed the land. And so for my thing is that I think a lot of residents don't realize that happened. Like Fargo wants this, they want them, and they already annexed the land, which is my bigger concern. So can we speak to that, or is that later?
Yes, we're going to have a specific vote on that under our first thing under new business. So appreciate that comment, and that will be discussed.
Hi, Pam Strong, Harwood. I just wanted to make more of a request or a comment than have a question, but when you make a decision on this, I know that you talked about if they pass North Dakota's standards, if they pass the federal standards, that's good enough for you. But like if you've ever run a business or daycare, the federal government the state government has standards set, but if you only take care of a child according to those standards, you're really not looking out for the best for the community. So just kind of, that's a metaphor. I speak in metaphor. So
That's fine.
it really has nothing to do with the daycare. But I'm just saying that don't just take their standards. I think people voted you guys into this office to really look out for us as a community, not just on the standard of what our federal government or our North Dakota government does. I think the tighter the community, the more concerns you should have for what goes on in it.
All right, thank you for your question. All right, I've already spoken about my 2 cents on this. Would anyone on council like to address that anymore? Otherwise, my comments will stand.
I will. Just real quick, I think this is a good opportunity. My name is Chris Fix, one of the council members here, and the mayor's already alluded to this. We're all residents of this town. Anybody that's elected here, it's a prerequisite. You have to live here. So Chris, myself, the mayor, Councilman Nedham, Dick, we're all community members. Dick, how long have you lived here? Dick's been here for 44 years. I've lived here for over 20. No one up here is looking to make any decisions that are contrary to what's in the best interest of this community. I can tell you that. Okay. So if you're back there, you have questions, you're concerned, then come find one of us and have a discussion, because that's the way for you to influence some change, right? So we have a lot of people here, we have a lot of outside interest people here that are they're here because they feel strongly one way. And I feel like everyone here that's a member of this community has to understand how strongly everybody does feel, myself included. I need people to understand that. So we don't take it lightly. We are taking this very seriously. Most of us have kids. We've raised kids in this community. I don't think that it's in my interest to raise my children in a town that I feel like we're doing something contrary to what's in their best interests. Okay? So just take that for what it's worth. I think everybody up here that's sitting here feels that way. Yeah, I don't know. I used to work for the sheriff's office. If it doesn't know me in that capacity, I took an oath to serve and protect back then, and I did it for a long time in this community, and I'm continuing to do that up here. So take that for what it's worth as well. If you don't like that part of my backstory, that's fine. I'm good with that. I was a cop for over 20 years. Not much you're going to say that's going to hurt my feelings. So I just wanted to chime in with that, Mayor. I think there was a good chance Jen gave a nice opportunity for that. So appreciate that.
My name is Dick Sundberg. I'm the City Council of Public Works portfolio. Okay. My name is Dick Sundberg. I'm the City Council. We've got the Public Works portfolio, streets and water and sewer. All of this infrastructure in this city needs to be upgraded, even if we don't grow. And we have to have special assessments. I've been around projects many years. Those special assessments are painful. Doesn't mean, if you can't afford it, you still get a special assessment. If there's a way that we can change the economy in the city, the revenue source in the city, to be able to avoid special assessments and pay for these projects with funds that come from growth and industrial activity, I think we would be remiss to miss that opportunity. And I guess I just hope that we can move forward and do what's best for the city. That's what I want, and that's what everybody at this table wants. I guess that's all I have to say.
Yeah, Chris and Dick, thank you very much for your comments. This has kind of put a toll on, I think, a lot of us, more than we expect or thought it would, but that's how serious we're all taking it, so I appreciate those comments. All right, Ryan.
Hi, my name's Ryan Volk, living in Harwood here. So question, if we don't approve this today, the agriculture, they're gonna move 3 miles behind us, correct? The way it sounds.
So my understanding, there's 3 potential options, and it does somewhat impact the rezoning. So my understanding, and Applied Digital representatives are here, so if I misspeak here. But right now, their current site is in the city of Harwood, and that's where we're looking to rezone it to industrial. Fargo has annexed our own land in, which we believe to be unlawful. So if they get their way, it's potential that it's going to be built in the exact same location with no tax benefit for the city of Harwood. So we deal with all the headache and none of the benefit. And then my other understanding of the third potential site is about 3 miles west of the current location outside of the city, where we would still deal with some headaches of construction and traffic and everything else we deal with. And again, we would get no benefit from still dealing with the same headaches. My understanding is, and Applied Digital is right here, that this is going to be built. It is going to be built around here. And so as the mayor and as we're trying to do what I think is best for our citizens, I think that what makes the most sense is to, as we get down there in our agenda, is to at least receive the benefit to the community from still having to deal with the potential headaches that we might have.
Okay. My question is, if we don't zone it today, Prosper's gonna get it, or Fargo, okay? Think about it. Building constructions, a lot of gravel, a lot of, materials, the precast building. You stop and look at it. If we don't have any skin in the game, they're gonna drive right through our town. We're not gonna be able to say anything, do anything. The precast building, the gravel trucks going through, we have nothing to hold against them. They build out there, they're not gonna be driving by our school. They're gonna be coming down the road and taking a left or going south. They're not gonna come into our town. It's gonna be less dangerous by Senex. The kids are gonna get to school safe. So I think you guys are on the right mind. Help out, look out for the community. I think you guys are doing a smart call on this.
Thank you, Ryan. Mark, go ahead.
Mark Kirkfleet, longtime Harwood resident. Hey, you kind of touched on, I already spoke to planning and zoning, so I'm assuming you'll get those comments or they're part of a record somewhere. I'm not going to go into that again, but something you guys were talking about, I've been in leadership positions for many, many years with other organizations, nothing government-wise. In some cases, president. And we make a lot of unpopular decisions. And I've learned that you're never going to have 100% support on one side of any issue. I can personally appreciate everything all you guys are going through. I know you don't get paid a lot. You wouldn't be doing this if you didn't have your constituents' best hearts at mind. Personally, I'm a little frustrated and wasn't quite expecting some of the blowback from people from other areas who don't even live here, they're driven by some agenda that I'm having a hard time understanding. But I would like you just to understand how much, I do believe that I voted and elected this group up here to look after my best interests. And I'm in full support of this project after doing the homework and learning what I've learned about it. I was concerned at first. I put all that to rest. But in closing, thank you for what you guys are doing.
Members of the council, I'm a resident of Fargo. I don't speak,
We need your name, sorry.
Oh, sorry, Stephen Furness. I don't mean to speak on behalf of anyone, but I have family friends who live in Harwood, Newlands, great friends of mine, and they can't be here tonight, so I'd like to speak at least to some of their concerns. And one thing I'd like to ask is what the previous comment had to do with zoning, if I may. I appreciate your comment. Yes, I supported the project, the zoning change. Okay, excellent. Okay, so I missed that at the beginning. I'm sorry about that. And then the other thing that I would have to say is, you had a person come up here to discuss the endangered species, as you mentioned. You had another person come up and ask you about your response to that, which, if I remember correctly, the initial point was these endangered species, if they are put in trouble, that would be a violation of federal law. Your response to that was you're not aware of any issues in that regard. No. Is that correct?
I think that's fair, sure.
Sure. So then you made a response to the next comment, sir, that was, I think well taken, and I respect where you're coming from. You want to do best for your community. But if I may, you didn't fully answer the allegation there, which is that you're just basing whether or not this is okay by whether or not the federal government tells you it's okay, or rather based on whether or not the federal government doesn't tell you that it's not okay. And I find that concerning.
Okay, you can.
So my question then would be, can you commit to making these sorts of decisions not based on exclusively whether or not you're told from up high if these are bad things, but rather from your own experience and from the experience of your constituents, some of which I'm here representing right now?
Sure, and what I'll say is, we have a council that's been elected by the citizens to make the best informed decisions that they can. I know I'm taking the heat today and I signed up for this job, but unless it's a 2-2 vote, I don't get a vote here today. It's 4 other people here that are gonna vote on this thing. I'm only the tiebreaker vote, so I'm taking the heat and I'm trying to answer the questions, and I'm trying to do it to the best of my ability. But if we were to get anything, we're gonna comply with all state and federal law. That's my stance. And until I get some kind of notice that, we're violating federal law. Everyone says you're violating federal law, you're gonna violate federal law. Well, no, we haven't received anything that we're violating federal law. And until I get something that says you're violating federal law, you can ask council members how they're gonna vote later, and we're gonna have a vote. But if we violate federal law, we will stop doing whatever we need to do to comply with federal law. But until we receive some kind of notice that we are, we're gonna still continue to comply with state and federal law.
So then one final question then, because I think I understand your position a bit more clearly now. Sorry, I'm doing this on the spot here.
Think about how I feel.
Well, it goes both ways.
I've answered questions for about an hour and a half right now.
Yes, well, that is
yeah.
Sorry. So then, no, I'm sorry. I've lost my train of thought.
Okay. All right, so don't see anyone else in line at this point in time. I'm going to close the public hearing, and we'll move on. We'll continue to go on with the agenda. Oh, there is no law enforcement report this month, so we're going to skip over that. On to the annexation of Fargo vote. I asked to put this on the agenda. As it's been pretty well documented at this point in time, Fargo is trying to annex our EP zone where this potential project is going to go. I've been pretty outspoken about it. Councilman Nedham and I were on the Jay Thomas show. I was also on Joel Heitkamp's show. I called in to combat some of what Mayor Mahoney was saying. And I wanted a formal vote from the city as to our stance on Fargo voting our land essentially or trying to annex our land. My understanding is that Fargo needs a judicial order or they need our consent. So I wanted it formal on the record, a motion and a second and an approval as to whether or not what our stance is regarding that topic, if that makes sense.
I'll make that motion to oppose. Second.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor? All right. Thank you. I wanted that formal for the record. Next, we're on to the second reading of the health ordinance. It is in our agenda packet. If people haven't had a chance to go through it and read it, we can take some time. Otherwise, I'd entertain a motion. Okay, no changes since first reading. Sarah, rather than pass the mic, can I just announce who approved? Is that acceptable? Okay. All right. Would anyone like to make a motion regarding the second reading of the health ordinance?
So moved.
All right. Councilman Nedham, second. That was Councilman was gonna say 6, because I get that wrong all the time. Councilman Higgins, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion carries, unanimous. All right, now we're on to the big topic of the day, Applied Digital. We have several representatives from Applied Digital here today. I've met some I don't know. Who would like to speak from Applied Digital? Yes.
Council, thanks for having us. My name is Wes Cummins. I'm the chairman and CEO of Applied Digital. Happy to be here tonight to discuss the project that we're proposing on this land that you're discussing and with all the residents here. Just a little bit about us and what we do here in North Dakota. So I'll first talk a little bit about AI. So there's a lot that people get, excited about, scared about with AI. But what I would say is what we do is we build infrastructure for AI. So this needs to have a certain type of infrastructure, a certain type of data center that we're building. We don't control what actually happens inside the data center. We don't, we lease this out to a tenant. Typically, I always talk about the tenants we have are typically large customers. These are long-term leases, so it provides a lot of stability both for the communities that we build in, for the power companies, for everyone involved in it, and it's typically investment-grade tenants, so some of the largest companies in the world. But when we talk about AI, the way I view it, and we view it inside of the company, is we are enabling this, but this is happening kind of with or without us. And the way I really think about it in my mind is we're probably in the most important arms race around the world that we've ever been. And so, if you don't like this project because you don't like AI is coming here either way. Our goal is that it's USA made AI instead of China made. Those are really the two choices for the future. So let's set that aside. So then what we do is we think about how can we best and in the best way go about this process and do what I call inside of our company, do things the right way. And the right way is how can we have the lowest environmental impact? How can we have the best impact on the communities where we choose to build these buildings? How can we work with communities and build this, honestly, in places that it's never, technology's not built in communities like this. Technology's not built in Ellendale, North Dakota. That's not where technology, where you think of, where I think of. And I grew up in this, so my background is, I grew up on a potato farm in Idaho, and this wasn't built in our community. It was all done in Silicon Valley. It was done somewhere else. My dad really preached us to go to school so that we could go and work in those jobs or in the job somewhere else because our town was 200 people. And so for me to be able to bring this back into communities like this, create what I think is some of the lowest impact projects of this scale. So we'll build, we're talking about investing $3 billion here that will be in the town of Harwood, that we want to work with the town of Harwood. We have a model where if you build data centers in Texas or most data centers around the world, they use millions and millions of gallons of water per day. We designed the facility specifically to use zero water, to really as close as we can get to zero. So, and what does that mean? We use a closed water loop. Think of it like your car, right? So your car has a radiator, you have coolant that's in the car, rolls around, and then really the way your car uses water is if you're driving it, you're drinking water, right? And so we still have people inside the facilities. They use the restroom, they drink water, maybe some dishes get washed, but that's how water gets used in these facilities. So we made it super efficient from that perspective. And then in North Dakota, we can push the power use efficiency extremely, it's actually extremely high, but extremely low. So when you build in other places, you'll typically use the power you use to run IT loads, and then you use 50% more, at least, of that power to do cooling. Well, North Dakota's great because it's a cold climate, so we get to use a lot less power to run the same amount of compute that we would use in Texas or in Arizona or in Virginia or other big data center markets around the country. So again, trying to do everything that we can, and then why North Dakota? Not only is it great from a climate perspective, but I think most of you know, North Dakota generates or produces about 6 times the amount of energy that they consume within the state. And so, when we started this, we were working with Governor Bergman, and one of our big agenda items was to keep that energy inside of the state, use it for North Dakotans for that economic prosperity inside the state, and this is one of the things that we bring to the state. The energy is being produced here,
North Dakota is a huge exporter of energy, huge exporter of electricity. It's being exported to Minnesota, it's being exported down to Iowa, it's being exported to Omaha, to Nebraska. And what is one of the biggest things they're doing there? They're building data centers, right? They're building data centers there. They're building, Des Moines is a big place for Microsoft. Omaha's a big place for Google. Minnesota has a big Amazon facility going in. So these data centers are being built, and North Dakota is producing the energy for these data centers, and you're not getting any of the benefit. You're not getting the jobs. You're not getting the tax basis that we bring. And so we try to do this in every way that we possibly can to benefit, you know, the place where you're generating the energy, the town that we come into, where you generate from the, or you benefit from the tax basis that we create. And then also we train locally for a lot of our jobs. Our jobs are, you know, relative to the income in North Dakota. They're in some cases extremely high-paying jobs. We have a lot of jobs that pay well north of $100,000 a year. They're trained from people here locally. We do almost all of the training here. And then one of the other things that we've seen in Ellendale specifically, excuse me, is people come that left Ellendale, grew up in Ellendale, and then have actually been able to come back. Their family's there, they have a job, they come back, they work for us, they come back to the community, and they grow up, and the community can start to grow and flourish again. The community, you know, speaking with the mayor, that it, you know, shrunk 30% in the last 20 or 30 years. So it's really a perfect fit. It's the leading edge of technology. You know, we create a significant number of jobs, but not an overwhelming amount of jobs. We're talking about 200 to 300 jobs that are permanent jobs on the site. I won't say that there's not going to be some headache around construction. There's always some headache around construction. But when you think about the jobs after the fact and these facilities, and I know noise is one of the things that's come up here, the facilities don't create that much noise relative to almost anything else that you could be doing. You know, if we were, I don't know, crushing soybeans, I think they do a lot of that here, other kind of food processing. So it's really a super low impact. I can't say it's no impact. I won't lie to you and say that, but the construction has an impact. There will be traffic. There will be a lot going on, and then construction's over after, you know, on this, call it 24 months. And then you have a facility where 200 or 300 people go on multiple shifts per day. You're not going to get a massive amount of traffic. It's basically, you know, going to be something that you don't notice other than you see the buildings, which will look, you know, somewhat like the Amazon warehouse that went beside the airport over here. So just a little bit about who we are, what we're trying to do, and what we hope to be able to do here. But the mayor is right when he's talking about these are going to be built, and we're going to build them, and other people are building them. Would love to do it here, but we will build it elsewhere. But I think this is a great fit for this project.
Well, Wes, thank you. I know we haven't met before, but would you be, we have a lot of our citizens here. Would you be open to any other questions that some of our citizens might have?
Happy to answer questions.
Are there any citizens of Harwood that have any questions? We have the CEO of Applied Digital. This has been a hot topic here. Any citizens of Harwood would like to ask Wes a question?
How did you choose Harwood?
So the way we choose sites in general is there has to be kind of a confluence of things that happen. And so the number one is power. So there's a robust grid here. We've been speaking with the utility here for maybe 2 or 3 years, so we've been working on it. So there's very extensive studies done on the utility, the abilities to support something like this. And for them, you know, the conversations basically went to, look, we need to grow our generating capacity at the utility. A load like ours, which is extremely stable for a long period of time. So, you know, to build new generation assets, so, you know, the western side of North Dakota has a huge amount of oil and gas, and the WBI pipeline was approved recently, will come to the eastern side of North Dakota. But the utility, these are small utilities, they can't afford to just go build things on spec, so having a customer there allows them to build something to service their, you know, the constituents a lot better. So power is number one, fiber is number two, and those are the two primary items, and those kind of come together here, but there's several sites in this area, and actually several sites all over the state that kind of determine that.
I'm curious if you have said that you're kind of creating a facility and then the company will come in and do the AI. I had heard that this was a training AI facility. Is that, do you know who or what company will be in there, or do you have any say on if it's a generative AI or anything, a different type of quantum computer?
Sure, so it's very likely, I can't say for certain, but very likely to be NVIDIA chipsets inside of that facility. It will be Gen AI, but all of these companies in the US and then, around the world are racing for super intelligence and AGI. But we have an idea. Look, we market to primarily 6 or 7 customers, right? And so those customers are Microsoft, Google, Amazon, Meta, Oracle, CoreWeave, and then there's some of the frontier model builders like OpenAI, Anthropic. But it's really a small set of customers. But that typically is who goes into our facilities.
The question is, if Fargo somehow wins the annexation, will you guys still build here?
If we get, so I want to go through, it's a great question. I want to go through the everyone, I do understand this is moving fast. The issue is this industry moves fast. And so, it's been a big lift for Applied Digital to get one of these facilities done in North Dakota. North Dakota is not a traditional data center market. And we started building on spec back in 23 to be in a place because, we as a company thought that's where the market was going. And so we are moving fast. And the other issue we have in North Dakota, as far as moving fast, and this is where kind of days start to matter for us. So, as you all know, it gets very cold here, in the coming months. And for us to get foundation in and to be able to do enclosures to work through the winter is super important because this industry is changing so fast and it's just a race. The answer is if we get approvals, we would still likely build on that site, yes.
Okay, so Applied Digital has changed business models multiple times since you were incorporated in 2001. How do we know that you're not just going to switch business models, go to a new market, whatever market's hot, and leave North Dakota to rot?
Sure. So that's a fair question. To just clarify this a little bit. So we started Applied Digital inside of what was effectively a dormant public shell in 2021. And so all of those businesses previously were not us. And so we took that shell. It was just a mechanism that we raised capital to go and start building these. So we started building Bitcoin data centers. We're not Bitcoin miners. We didn't mine Bitcoin, but we built a Bitcoin data center first in Jamestown and then in Ellendale. That's not what we're building here. And then from Bitcoin data centers, we moved on to HPC data centers, and we didn't abandon our Bitcoin facilities. So I wouldn't call it. I would call it an expansion. But this is the model, the business model we're focused on. And as I mentioned, we signed our tenant for Ellendale, 400 megawatts there. That's a 15-year contract. We expect the facility here to go under a 15-year contract with the first one was 3 5-year extensions. We expect something similar. So especially for a technology-oriented company, that's like I don't think you get better visibility into the future than those types of long-term contracts. But it is. It's a data center business. It's just different types of compute running inside the business. I think. Sure. So the class action suit it's very common for publicly traded companies to get these kind of suits. It's typically a share drop for maybe not even something that we did. I won't comment specifically on this one. So we were sued federally and at the state in Nevada, basically the same suit. The one in Nevada has been dismissed, went in our favor. We're just waiting for the federal, but it's I don't want to just say it's like the ambulance chaser lawsuit of public companies, but a lot of public companies experience the same thing. Does that answer that? Yeah, so I would say there was one at a state level that already went in our favor. We just are waiting out the other one. So, We live in America and it's free and it's great that anyone can sue anyone over anything. And so then you have to go and defend yourself, and we're in the process of doing that, and I feel good about where that goes. Mhm.
I'm in support of this project, but I'm just curious if you guys would assist Harwood in the fight with Fargo over the annexing of it.
I'm going to let Nick answer that. He's more adept at this.
So there's a few
We
issues.
need a couple big guy lawyers there.
Yeah, well, I'm not the lawyer. We've got one of those too, but there's a few issues here. So I'm gonna point at some things over here. Gonna point at the news. All right, so this side and the mayor and some of the council members have talked about this several times. This side of this line is the Harwood ET, and then of course there's the city limits over here. And then this side of the line over there is the Fargo ET. So when you're in the ET, you have to come to the city, like we are now, for zoning or permits or things like that. So that's what we've done. On this side of the line, if we wanted to build over here, we would go to Fargo and we would ask, right? If you're not in ET, then you have a township and you may have zoning, or they may not, or whatever that looks like. So there's a process. So Fargo started a process of trying to annex this property individually, the Harwood ET, this property over here in the Fargo ET, minus these little bits here, and then something up here that I don't know what it is. And so they're trying to annex something that the city of Harwood has inside of their ET. So they have, the rights to say we can zone it or permit or do all those types of things. Fargo would have to get a couple processes to happen. So number one, that can be protested, and we've told the city we would protest that they didn't come to us and say we're going to maybe annex you and talk about it. They just did it. And so I had a very brief phone call about that topic, and it was clear that we would want to protest this. So that's a process to go through. We go to the city, we say we don't want it. We then go to a mediator, we go to court, we go to state Supreme Court. It's a whole process. That's something that we would go through. So that would be our expense. That's what we would do.
So you would support Harwood?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Shorter answer.
Yes. Yes. The answer. So that's our process. That's our legal money. That's our expense. That's our lawyers. That's us going to court. That's our fight. I think your city, just a moment ago, there's two things that can happen. Either the city can consent, or we can say, yep, go ahead and annex it and take all the tax money and control and all that. They just voted that they don't want that, right? So they don't have consent. The other option would be we could use court, potentially. I don't think that's likely. There's all sorts of criteria that go into who should control it. One of them is, this is the ET. Another one of them is, if you guys start zoning us and permitting us and doing all of those things, that gives you a leg up in that kind of thing. There's all sorts of factors that go into whether they can annex something. I kind of laughed. Your mayor was on the radio and was like, well, let's just annex the airport or the Fargo or things like that. I mean, that's effectively what they kind of tried to do here. So yes, this is our fight and our money. You guys have done what you should do, I think, or you can do, which is vote against it.
Okay.
So,
thank you.
You previously talked about 900 acres, and all you're showing us here is 640, or is the...
yeah, actually, so there is 925 acres that we have under contract. The only thing we're talking about today for zoning is these two quarters, so 320 acres. And the only thing we're talking about for permitting is this 160 acres here. None of the rest of it. We contracted for more land because we want options. I've had conversations with several folks here tonight and also last week who've asked questions. One of them is about water. There's a neighbor somewhere here who asked about water. This pond is runoff. These are big buildings with roofs and there's concrete and things. We can't just let the water run onto the neighbor's property and make them mad. So we have to have an ability to do something. That could be planting trees, that could be other uses, other buildings,
that's not data center related or is data center, like, we don't know. All we know is this is what we have approval for from a power perspective. 280 megawatts of existing power that's already existing that the utility has, and that's it. It's 160 acres. I talked about that last week as well. There's been a lot of questions about the 925 acres. There is 925 acres that we have contracted. Some of it's on the Fargo side, some of it's on the Harwood side. That's where we want to build, that 160 right there.
Have you purchased the property?
We have not closed, no. So developers will typically do this. They'll come in and they'll ask for a zoning change to a city or a township or a county or whatever. And then they'll close after that happens.
Because why would you buy it for the price that you would pay if it's unusable? Yeah.
Yeah, I have a question, more about long-term. Do you have long-term plans for renewable energy, and this property, would there be the ability to implement solar panels?
Sure. So we've mostly built our business on renewable energy. And so one of the real attractions for us in Ellendale is there's about 2 gigawatts of wind power that feed into that substation. And when the wind is blowing, there's not enough transmission capacity to actually transport that electricity out to a user. And so what we're able to do is take these facilities and build them close to the generation of power, the creation of power, and then utilize it as well. So in Ellendale, what would happen, wind blows, too much energy in, grid goes negative, most of the wind farm developers curtail the turbines so that they stop producing energy because they'll run the grid negative because the renewable energy credits are worth more than selling your electricity for free effectively. So we've built most of the business to date on renewable energy, and I think there's a lot of opportunity around that. And we won't get into it tonight, but there's actually a big opportunity specifically for this facility and some renewables that are ready to be built that need an offtake and large amounts of it. And so that's been a big portion of what we do. And then there's some really interesting things that we can do on site because of how our load works that you can do with battery backup and things so you can make renewables more sustainable because the primary issue with renewables is it only creates when the sun shines or the wind blows, right? And so there's some really interesting things that we're working on in the future. And going back to the extra land, I wanted to talk because some of these questions came up, or at least one that came up multiple times on the agricultural use. There's going to be some things that we're working on with the land that we have because we have waste heat that is more concentrated with liquid cooling. We can actually capture that waste heat for use, and some of that use would be greenhouses that will work all through the winter to grow, tomatoes or any other plants that work well in greenhouses. So there's a lot of opportunity. In some instances, you take these, if it works well with the town, you take the waste heat and you actually pipe it for heating into the town. So there's a lot of recapture opportunity with these facilities over time, but it's that stable long-term contract that allows us to do that.
There's a professor at NDSU here on the ag department side. They applied for a grant to study capturing waste heat for use in different greenhouse manufacturing or other processes. They applied for the grant. We provided matching funds for that. And so we're trying to figure out what that is. We didn't really talk about it because it's in its infancy. We don't know all the answers, so I don't want to stand here and say, hey, we're building all these 900 acres of greenhouses to do all this, but we have provided matching funds. We've committed matching funds to the NDSU professor to do that. And I think that that's great use. I mean, if we're generating extra heat, let's do something with it. Maybe it's making beer, or maybe it's making cheese, or maybe it's heating cow barns. Like, I don't know what it is, but that's kind of the process to figure that out.
Just recently got a bill from Cass County, or a notice from Cass County Electric that off-peak electricity rates were increasing. And I'm curious, is not directly related to Cass County, but one of the other energy providers that is larger in the region. Is that in any way associated with the prospect of your bill?
No, it's not associated with us. And what I would say, all I can do is talk about what's happened so far. So we've been running close to 200 megawatts in Ellendale for the past 2 years and 2.5 years, and 2 years in a row. And you can Google this and you'll find it, but the residents' electricity bills decreased 2 years in a row from us being there. And this goes back to utilizing infrastructure that's there, that the utility didn't have to pay for. We located next to the substations, they didn't build anything out. The utility makes money from us and a lot of electricity that would otherwise go unused or exported. And then we pay a toll, and then just the way typically co-ops, but this one is with NDU, so the way the PSC works, they give some of that money back to their end users, and so we've lowered electricity bills 2 years in a row for people in and around the Allendale area.
So for 2023, our usage in Allendale resulted in $5.4 million in credits to MDU's ratepayers in North Dakota. And for 2024, it was $5.7 million in credits. So when we look, somebody asked earlier, like, how do you pick a site? It's about infrastructure. So we work with utilities to say, where is their existing infrastructure? So we don't have to build a lot of extra infrastructure. Where is their existing infrastructure that we can come in and put a facility at that will more fully utilize that infrastructure, which means you get a better utilization rate, right? So if you've got a big pipe and you're only using a little bit of water going through it, that's not a good utilization rate. But if you can fill the pipe, that's more efficient. And utilities, all of us are being impacted by inflation, by fuel rates changing, and that goes into all of it. But they have the power, they're generating the power, they're just sending it over to other places.
Are those credits dispersed across all of the residents of Ellendale specifically, or?
For MDU, it's all of the MDU North Dakota ratepayers, so it's all of the ratepayers in North Dakota. And they're an investor-owned utility, it's different than a co-op. Co-ops, the CEO of Cass County Electric was here last week and talked about it. They do it a little different. They do some sort of returns, based on voting and what their operational. They're a nonprofit or not-for-profit entity. It's a little bit different. Yeah.
Can you point out where Harwood is on that map?
Over here.
It's on the top left or the middle left?
It's over here.
It's on the top.
What's that?
So county 26. County 26.
This is 81 here.
Okay.
This is 22. The softball fields are right here.
22. Okay.
This is 22. It's also called Dakota, I think. Dakota or 22.
So could you talk briefly about the planned traffic routes in and out of that facility?
Yeah.
And where those roads are?
Yeah. So we have really 3 options here on traffic. I spoke with somebody after the meeting. Yep. Because that's your portfolio. Yep. Yep. So there's really a few ways in and out of this area. There's the freeway exit here, which is off of 29, that's County Road 22. 81 goes here, and then there's an exit off the freeway down there, I think 2.5, 3 miles, something like that. 3, yeah. And then there's the roads going this way, over here. So we definitively have to have conversations about how to route traffic and deal with those things. I think, and I've heard from at least Dick over here, that routing traffic from that south area will alleviate the congestion up here for trucks. We're open to that. That's fine. We don't mind. And what we look for, and why we facilitate conversations, we had that town hall meeting last week because we want to hear things. We don't know. I don't live here. I'll certainly spend a lot of time here. We have a lot of people who will spend a lot of time here, but we need to hear from you all. And if we're hearing from locals, come from over here, we just have to make a rule for vendors that says come from over there. Are all of them going to follow it all the time? No. I can't force a truck driver who gets on GPS with Google Maps or whatever and says get off here to always do that, but we can tell them after the fact if we find out.
Gravel roads, no trucks, paved roads, truck routes. That can be established.
Yep, so this is paved. We would want to do some turns here to make it easier, some turns over here to make it easier. We have to work through that for sure.
Eric, just so you know, that feedback has been given back to a couple of us. We already have talked to Andrew, our city engineer, and he has formally brought together some ideas that was going to get presented to Applied Digital. So the concerns of yourself and others have been heard, And we've already looking to address those.
Thank you.
I wanted to address one other item that has come up, and then I'll grab your question. And I was a little bit just surprised about the amount of play this has gotten, but the NDAs that were signed, we pride ourselves on transparency. It's why Nick was here last week, holding a town hall, discussing what this is. We don't come into places and try to do, any kind of closed door deals. We don't ask for special tax treatment. We don't do a lot of the things that a lot of the data centers do. But we did require NDAs. We asked one from Jameer. There was a few others that were, but those NDAs are really for protection for us and protection for them from not their constituents. But we are a publicly traded company, and we want to comply with SEC laws. We don't want anyone to get in trouble with large projects that we have going and get some kind of insider trading issue going. So it's their protection, but then there's protection for us. That we take them, we look at our facility, we lay out our plans, we talk about it, but we might not do a project here. And if we don't do a project here, we don't want to have that competitively sensitive information rolling around. So you can blame us on NDAs, but it's really for legal protection for the person and for us, and not to try to hide anything from anyone. If we wanted to hide, we would have never showed up for the town hall last week or show up here to have this discussion. We just call and try to make it happen that way.
Yeah, so before you said you want a September groundbreaking, the next city council meeting is October, sometime in the first week of October, and then you do is get approval and do the building permit. So would you in theory still accomplish that September breaking, or do you have to get approval for the building permit and the second approval?
Yeah, we don't always get what we want, right? But we want to try to make things, and we could take some risk to make some things happen. But it's for us. It's as soon as we can make it happen, just from a weather perspective. I mean, we love the weather here for what we do, but it does create some problems for construction.
Hey, so we're a democratic country. We're supposed to be, right? Is there anything the people of Harwood, of Fargo, of North Dakota could do if we say we don't want applied digital here? What could we do to get you guys out of our state?
That's a question for someone that's not me.
So you're a corporation above democracy.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
You think your corporation is above democracy?
Does anyone else have a question? Yeah, absolutely.
You exercise democracy. Did you vote in the last election? I don't know who asked the question. I'm just asking. Did you vote in the last election?
Oh, me, yeah. I'm 16, man.
Okay, so you can't. You didn't get. Did your parents vote in the last election?
I presume so.
You believe so? Okay, so they already exercised democracy. The whole point of our system in our country is that we elect representatives to do those things for us. If we had to go through every single thing and have every single person vote on it, do you think we get anything accomplished in this country? We already don't get things accomplished in this country, and we elect people to office. So, we are seeing democracy in action. We have seen democracy in action. Mayor Blake even alluded to it. Every 2 years, at least half of this council is up for re-election. Again, it's a thankless job. I will tell you, I know. I mean, I've been doing it, and I do it because I care about my community. That's the biggest reason why I do it. If I was doing it because I wanted a headache, that would be the other reason. But, democracy has been exercised.
Thank you, Mayor. Okay. We'll turn it back over to you, Blake. Thanks.
All right, thanks, guys. I've seen it, but yeah. The only other comment I would have on the electric rates is the CEO, and maybe this is addressed a little bit of Cass County Electric, has come out publicly in the paper and also at the town hall that Applied Digital had last week and said the rate increase is in no way affiliated with this project. It was, I think it's something with their off-peak rate, but he's been publicly on record saying it's nothing to do with this project. All right, on to the planning and zoning recommendation. And for this, Jamie, it's your portfolio. Councilman Neto, I'll ask you to address that.
Brock, do you want to read what planning and zoning decided, or you want?
Basically, after we listened to all the people that came up to have something to say,
This is Brock Hansen, he's chair of zoning and planning.
after listening to everybody's concerns and everything, we did have a unanimous vote to recommend to approve the rezoning to the city council. Everybody was in favor.
Okay, thank you for that. Jamie, your portfolio, anything else you'd like to add? Okay, thank you. All right, at this point in time, we have, I guess, done a lot of discussions. Would anyone like to make a motion regarding the first reading of the zoning change from agricultural to industrial?
So moved.
Can I get a second? Okay, that was Chris Hicks on the second. All in favor? All right, it's a unanimous vote. On to building permits for MBN. It is in our packet. Andrew, if I can turn to you for this a little bit. You've taken a look at this, correct?
The one thing that I would add to the building permit application is in regard to the truck route or haul route. I think it would be my recommendation to restrict or require the truck traffic in and out with materials and equipment to utilize routes other than the exit 72 here at Dakota Avenue. The recommendation would be to use County 20 to the south or Highway 22 from the east. But I think limiting the truck traffic through town as part of this would be the recommendation.
All right, and other than that recommendation, is it your recommendation to approve this building permit from what you've seen and reviewed? All right, that was a yes. And so my main point of contact, I guess, has been with Nick. I know I heard your discussion earlier. You guys, just so I get this formal, I know you said it, but if we approve this building permit conditioned upon that recommendation, would that cause any problems for Applied Digital? Right. Right. Yeah. Right. Okay, PetroServe might not like that, avoid, but in any event, yes, appreciate that, and you spoke publicly that can't control everybody, and I understand that. But as long as you guys are open to that and following that recommendation by our city engineer, would anyone like to make a motion or any other conversation regarding contingent upon the second reading? Thank you. Regarding the building permit that's been submitted in our council packet. Okay, that was Chris Higgins making the motion contingent upon the second reading. Can I get a second? That's Dick Sundberg with the second. All in favor? All right, motion unanimously carries. On to another building permit. For last name is, if I'm saying this right, Schlenker.
This was also unanimously approved at zoning and planning.
Okay. Yeah, and I see it in our packet. Planning and zoning unanimously approved it. Can I get a motion regarding that building permit for Mr. Schlenker? That was Chris Hicks, second. Chris Higgins, all in favor? All right, unanimous vote. On to Ryan Volk's letter. Ryan was here earlier. There, I see him. Okay, thank you. And the crux of the letter, Ryan, correct me if I'm wrong here, is that you would like to purchase some land that currently the city of Harwood owns and gave us a particular price that you believe was fair, and you would like to have a business there. And again, free publicity with all these people here, but you own 701 golf carts. Is that fair? Okay, and your business is buying and selling golf carts.
Yep.
Or are you? I mean, you have to deal with Yamaha, from what I understand, and you sell new golf carts as well as used golf carts. Fair? And you'd like, okay, and you'd like a particular, like, right now you're kind of around your house. Is that fair?
Correct.
All right, and you would like a formal shop or formal business in which to continue on with your business.
Correct.
Okay.
I'd like
But
to stay local and keep the Harwood name.
Okay, thank you. I want to make sure that I had all that accurate. So appreciate that, and that is contained in your letter. So, any discussion from council on? Sure. All right, Sarah, thank you for the. Sure, okay. Yeah, thank you for that, Sarah. Okay, so with that clarification, is this parcel of land, well, Jeremy, you're speaking to the city that does use this? Okay. All right. Okay. Sure. Makes sense. So I guess we don't need to do this individually, but does anyone think it's a good idea to sell this parcel of land and put it up for a public auction down the road, or are we just going to hang on to it as a city?
We've used it in the past as a borrow pit. So like if we're flooding, say we have to build up the end of Ash, or we have to build up Maple Lane or something like that, we can actually take the clay out of the ground, which we have in the past, and use it for diking for future flooding if we so deep. And then when you're done, then you just replace it back to how it was. So it has been dug up before in the past, so it's not. It is not, I believe it's not undisturbed soil. So.
Version out there, that's going to change all that. So a little bit of everything trying to sell that right now. I think we should wait till the version is done. Quality of the property in that area is increased value. When we get fully redeveloped, fully protected of the versions, we should get positive value.
All right, Dick, thank you for that. Does anyone have a different opinion than Dick they'd like to express, or we're now just going to hold on to it till after the diversion and see where things go? All right, so I guess, unless I'm speaking incorrectly, someone can correct me here, but Ryan, appreciate the letter reaching out, and I hope we can find something in Harwood to put this, but for now, it looks like the city's going to hang on to the land. So, okay, now we're on to our public comment section. There's been a lot of public comment. On the formal public comment section, we are allowed to keep these to 3 minutes a person and to 30 minutes total. So I think we've had a lot of discussion and talking, but I do intend to follow that. That is state law that we have adopted into our policy here in Harwood. So if anyone has any additional public comments, they can come up here. You're going to be limited to 3 minutes, and there'll be a 30 minutes of collectively comments before I can shut it down. So that's what I intend to do with all the discussions that we've had today. And so if anyone would like to make a comment, come forward. We'll get you a microphone, and I'm going to set my timer. Okay, seeing nobody coming forward, we're going to move past the public comment on to old business. I'm sorry.
I'm not sure I should comment on this, but earlier there were so many comments about the rusty patch bumblebee and about the environmental aspect of the changing the zoning from agriculture to industrial. And like I'm wondering, is all of that land out there that's being changed, is that farmland?
Yes.
So it's currently being farmed?
Correct.
So I just wanted to clarify something. I was out checking on this.
Perfect.
The loss of the rusty patch bumblebee, why it is declining, is due to habitat loss from natural areas such as meadows and grasslands, pesticides, climate change patterns, and pathogens and diseases. Then the next thing I checked is the favorite flowers of the bumblebee. It's lavender, sunflowers, borage, cornflowers, bee balm, asters, and sedum. So if that is totally, it's not natural area, it's not meadowland. So the only way that changing that zoning from agriculture to industrial that would affect that bumblebee is if the farmer planted sunflowers every year to save that bumblebee. But I think all of us, I love bumblebees, and I think all of us in our own garden patches could plant cornflowers, bee balm, aster, sedum, and we could do a great effect for that bumblebee. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, darling.
Gonna come up here for the same reasons I did. Because I've been informed there has been no, or is no current plan for a strategic plan, I would like to motion that, not that I have control on that, but that we can, with these changes in the zoning, that we should start a strategic plan for the development of the future of Harwood and how that course will go. I also am curious about the light solution, whether from there or from Cinex, because it is really bright, and I would like to have it like decrease at like 10 p.m. once it's closed or something. Super bright. I lost my owl across the street, so.
All right, thank you for that.
He's gonna make a comment.
Okay. I'm speaking again just because I implore you all to reevaluate after this meeting. Interrupting people during the 3 minutes they're given, that's not fair whatsoever, regardless of where they're from, to let people speak. I also think it's incredibly harmful for you all to say you care about children and then vote for something that is going to cause them air pollution and noise pollution, and I think it's very harmful of all of you, unfortunately, to admit that information at both of these meetings and to condemn people for doing their research. That's about it. I just think we need to do better and read your emails. Thanks.
I was up here earlier asking about an environmental impact review. I'm not going to really ask the question again, it's just more of a statement. I just really implore you guys. I know earlier you were saying that you were not really going to stop anything unless you get a notice from the federal government if anything is being, if any laws are being broken or if any harm is being done. I would just say maybe it's a good idea to do an environmental impact review before you get a notice that something is wrong. Try to nip that in the bud. I really urge you guys to do like an independent environmental impact, just due to the fact that this planet is going through climate collapse. whether we believe in that or not, or agree with that or not. That's just my biggest concern.
Thank you for your comments.
Sorry, getting over full. No, Chairman Clement Harwood. Sounds like it's going in one way or another, correct? I mean, it's going in. I just asked the city council, my digital, you fight Harwood. So we're gonna live with it. We need to purchase it.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, 10-year Harwood resident. Would also like to address the city council inquiring about making sure that we have our laws and use and regulations, lots of teeth in it. So if they do not abide by the Kronos, noise pollution, traffic impacts, all those types of things, and there are ways to reach out to them. Another question, I don't know if it's for both groups or not, but so the building itself, or it's a project being planned at, what's it, 3 billion. How much of that is actually to the computing power or that the GPUs that are being purchased, and whether or not that's a scenario or product purchasing for that facility, whether or not that's going to impact or be available for our sales tax?
Yeah, Nick, you're better off it. I know the answer, but if you want to go ahead, it's better from you.
Sure. Yeah. So the $3 billion number is just the infrastructure. That's our investment. That's none of the computers inside of there. The investment inside of that's broken down into different categories of spend. There's personal property, there's student chillers, there's the air handlers that we talked about before. There's the bricks and sticks of the buildings. That's all in. That's everything. The electrical, copper wires, transformers, but $3 billion is just us. On the other side, the equipment that they put in there, possibly NVIDIA chips or whatever they are, it can be anywhere from 1.5 to 3 times what we're spending.
Are those shipped here, so it's influencing our sales tax base?
So in North Dakota, there's not sales tax on that type of data center equipment. There is sales tax on some of the building components. And then there's property tax on building components, the bricks and sticks. Yeah,
so then the GPUs, are those like the processing units that are put in place, are those then considered the value of the property? Or how is that assessed?
No, the GPUs are personal property. They're not. Okay. Just like at your house, there's parts of your house that will go towards property tax, and there's parts of your house that won't.
Yep.
Those aren't parts to the house or to the building. Okay. Yep. And most states have a program like that. I think there's 42 actually states that don't charge sales tax on data center equipment like that. The main value is the other side. It's the jobs, it's the property tax. It's all that.
Thank you.
Yes. Community@applieddigital.com. You can email us. That goes to a bunch of us. Martin over here also is available. We'll also have somebody here physically soon. But yes, we're available. You can email us. That goes directly to us. Doesn't mean we can answer like 4 seconds later all the time, but we'll answer very quickly. And we also we'd also love to do more of these. I think these are good types of events and have a lot of conversation.
All right, seeing nobody else for public comments, we'll move on to old business. We have nothing under old business. Engineering report, I'll turn to you, Andrew.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I've got a couple of updates for you tonight. First is on the North Water Main Loop. Schedule is unchanged. We are in the process of the preliminary design yet at this time. I do have one item for you for action, and that is the drinking water SRF questionnaire, which is attached. It's ready to submit. This questionnaire puts the city on the list for funding from the Bank of North Dakota through the Drinking Water State Revolving Fund, which is a low-interest loan. By submitting, we've done these in the past, by submitting these questionnaires, it doesn't force the city to, or it does not mean that the city has to proceed with the project or even use that funding source, but it puts you on the list for funding. And so what I would like is a motion to approve the submittal of the questionnaire, and then I would just need a signature from the mayor. I do. Second item is an update from the FEMA basement exception submittal. The report was submitted to the Denver office, and it has been forwarded to headquarters with a recommendation for approval by the Denver office. I reached out to the Denver office this afternoon and got an update from them. The submittal is currently undergoing the concurrence process at headquarters, and the Denver office is not expecting any delays in its approval. So I'm hopeful that we'll hear back this week that we are done with that process. And there's no action that you need to take on that item. That's all I've got on my list.
All right, moving on to Public Works report. Jeremy.
I don't really have anything going on right now, just straight up normal upkeep. Got a tree on the Interstate Boulevard, I'm sure everybody heard, happened over the weekend. Somebody's trailer decided to come off the interstate, or some vehicle, and all the way across the 2 lanes of traffic up Interstate Boulevard and ended in the tree. Thank God it didn't hit somebody's house. So we'll keep an eye on the trees. That's an ongoing process. We'll see how that goes, and hopefully DOT can fix the fence. But other than that, I don't have.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Auditor's report, Shayla. All right. Moving on to portfolio reports. Dick. All right. Chris Higgins. All right. Kim.
It's not necessarily a portfolio report, but I do want to thank our citizens. I've had the opportunity in the last 2 weeks to have a lot of good conversations with people, both via email, in person, on the phone. Everybody was respectful. Everybody shared their opinions. I just want to say appreciate it. I also want to thank Shayla. The amount of stuff we've had to do in the last 2 weeks. So if everybody can remember, she's just one person. So she gets back to all of us in time. But thank you,
Shayla. Chris Fix. All right, and I don't have anything either. Our next regularly scheduled meeting, and that's the only one that's planned as of now, Monday, October 6th, 2025 at 6:30 p.m. With that, I'll take a motion to adjourn. All in favor?